So at this time, what I'd like to do at 6:32, I think it is, call this June 6th meeting of the Naugatuck+Valley Council of Governments, the Regional Planning Commission, to order. And the first item on our agenda will be reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. So if everybody will say the pledge along with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Am I the only one that finds that very awkward to do in Zoom? All right, we don't have a quorum, as I just said. We've got 6 representatives.
We have 7 now. Yeah.
Oh, Kim, hi. You snuck in there, Kim. Okay, we're one short. Well, without a quorum, though, we cannot adopt the April 4th, 2023 meeting minutes. I'm going to skip down to referrals.
Okay.
Would that be you, Joanne?
Yes,
Joanne?
that will be me. Let me get my notes here. Okay, just to let you guys know about referrals in the last 2 months. There's been a slowdown from previous 2-month periods. Usually we get 20. This time around, we got maybe 9. From the 9 submitted, only 4 were from... Hello? Did someone say something?
And I think we were getting some interference.
Oh, okay. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can. Oh, wait a second. Oh, I think we've got a quorum now.
We do. Who do we have?
I have Gino coming in. Gino Di Giovanni.
Oh, Gino. Okay, wonderful. Wonderful. In that case, if you don't mind, Joanna, I'm going to back up.
Not at all. Go ahead.
Get Gino in here. Oh, there we are. All right, wonderful. What I'm doing is backing up to item number 2, the adoption of the April 4th, 2023 meeting minutes. I need a motion to accept.
So moved.
We have Lori. Is that Lori?
Yes.
Yes. And a second on that?
I'll second. This is Kim McNeil.
Okay, Kim, thank you very much. I'm going to do just a voice vote on this. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I abstain. It's Bob.
Okay, that's right, Bob, you weren't here last time.
Correct.
All right, then the minutes will be approved as written. Now moving on to item number 3. I know we should be by rights have a work group report, but I circumvented that because I contacted each of our at-large representatives and our secretary and vice chair, and all have said that they would be willing to remain in their positions for the upcoming year. And so I made an executive decision that it didn't make any sense to go through any more talking about who is going to be going, or who would be nominated. I think I would like to ask Stacy, as our secretary, direct her to make a single vote to approve the executive board officers as they are presently serving. So thank you, Stacy, for doing that. The next, no, backing up, I'm sorry, to item number 2. 2B, the referrals report. Joanna, you had started that. I interrupted you. I apologize. You may continue.
That's okay. It's very short and sweet. I just wanted to continue that we only had 9 referrals submitted. The ones from the Naugatuck+Valley Council of Governments are from Middlebury, Southbury, Prospect, and Cheshire. Of note, Cheshire had 2 of those. Temporary moratorium on all development in C1, commercial 1, 2, and 3, planned residential and special development districts. And also cannabis uses are going to be added as per Public Act 21-1. Other than that, it's been a pretty slow with referrals.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any correspondence?
Just regarding the nominating working group and for the executive committee, and that's been recorded, or that's been reported by you.
Yes.
Yep.
Very good. All right, then we'll move on to our annual meeting discussion. I'm going to defer to
I have
John.
a question. Sorry,
Who's up?
Lori, I have a question.
Oh, certainly, Lori, go.
On the nominate, on the officers, do we have to take a vote on that?
Well, I don't, my understanding is that when we have our group in place, the same officers as before. And I
Okay,
believe what I can do is just ask the secretary to record one vote in favor of the slate.
okay. I didn't know how that worked. Thank you.
Well, I'm going on past memory from other groups that I have chaired, and I think that's what we did. If there's anybody that objects to that, please say so now, and we will go through the motions and election of each of the individual positions. Anybody have a question on that other than Lori? Okay. All right. So and again, I'm going to defer to Josh first to talk about the things that have gone on this year. Josh?
As all of you, I'm hoping are aware, we've been trying to find the right flavor for the RPC that will maintain a good bit of interest and value in our meetings and provide some peer education and discussion both within the region as well as from outside. Obviously, last meeting we had Becky Bradley from Lehigh Valley, who gave us a very interesting presentation on warehouse uses and some urban design issues. And so for this upcoming year, we're definitely looking for any suggestions that you or other RPC members might have on topics that you'd be interested in. If you come across in any setting, someone who has a great story to tell that's relevant to planning in the region, we really do want to offer that kind of programming to keep people interested and potentially add it to some type of lunch and learn or other meeting format as well that is available for town staff during the year. So consider this an invitation to offer us your suggestions or any references you have, and we'll make all the arrangements from there. So, I think it's a good way to keep encouraging people to attend and to provide their input.
Thank you very much, Josh. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. I would like to second what Josh was saying. Becky's presentation was absolutely marvelous. And I certainly would look forward to anybody else that we could invite to speak to the group. I really found that very informative. I also wanted to take this opportunity to personally thank Christine O'Neill, who I think does an outstanding job for the Naugatuck+Valley Council of Governments. And I just personally just really appreciate everything that you're doing, Christine.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
It's from the heart.
Thank you.
Looking forward, and I think I've said this to Josh, we've been doing Zoom meetings now for 3 years, I think. Is that right, Joanna?
Definitely right.
Yeah, I think three years because of the
Probably
pandemic.
2.5, yeah.
2.5. Well, okay, I rounded up.
That's
Um,
okay. It feels that way.
It does. It feels like more than that. And in a lot of respects, the Zoom meetings, I think, are much easier for individuals. We have a quorum tonight, but we've had some meetings without quorum. And personally, I think a lot more is accomplished in a better way when we can meet face to face. What I'm saying is I'm really in favor of looking forward to a time when we can resume our meetings in Waterbury. Now, having said that, our track record, I believe, having meetings face to face at the Naugatuck, yeah, it has not been stellar. So I'm not sure I'm willing to give up the Zoom meetings, but I would certainly look forward to an opportunity when we can all talk face to face.
I'm curious,
Yes,
is there anything that's been tracked in terms of the attendance of the Zoom meetings versus the in-person? I know for me, the Zoom is infinitely easier simply because Waterbury is the opposite direction from my home. So it's harder.
and that's
So
what
I
I
was
was,
just wondering, is there evidence one way or the other that it's been working well or hasn't been working well? Or maybe some meet in the middle, like 1 month is or one time is an in-person, one time is a remote, that type of thing.
that might be a nice option. It doesn't have to be every other month, but at least an opportunity during the year for us to meet together. That would be wonderful. Now, as far as recording anything, I have recorded the attendance since I took over as chair. And we've had 1, 2, 3, 4 meetings since August of last year where we've had a quorum. So we're not totally 100% successful even doing it through Zoom. But I'm going to say it again. I realize how easy it is for us to get attendance. It should be easy for us to get
Yeah.
attendance through Zoom. And we obviously will continue to do that. That really is all I had to say. The next item, number 5 on the agenda, is our roundtable discussion. And this evening, what I would like to do is to start with Kurt, because I know that Kurt has a passionate interest in a legislative bill that's come up. And I'm going to ask Kurt if he would like to talk about that in relationship to how it affects Middlebury. Go ahead, Kurt.
Good evening. Thank you, David. Nice to see everyone this evening. As you know, the legislature, as I hope you all know, the legislature is ready to vote on the biennial budget, which is a $51 billion budget. That biennial means for the next 2 years. And a lot of times at the very end, I guess, whatever happens in the legislature, certain parties attach certain bills to that legislation. And much to my surprise, I learned yesterday that section 182, and I sent a copy to Joanne. If you want to put that up on the screen, I'd appreciate that.
I just put it in the chat. I put the, you can click on what I put in the chat and you can read it for yourself.
Oh, it disappeared wherever it is. So I'm going to read the bill. It says effective immediately. Now, the House voted last night on this bill, and the Senate is expected to either vote on it when they adopt the budget package with one little change. and here's what it says, notwithstanding any municipal charter, ordinance, regulation, or resolution, special act or provision of Title 8 of the general statutes, no municipality with a population of less than 8,000, as determined by the most recent federal census, or board commission of any such municipality authorized to regulate planning, zoning, and or land use, shall approve the siting, construction, permitting, operation, or use of a warehousing or distribution facility exceeding an area of 100,000 square feet if such facility is located on one or more parcels of land less than 150 acres in total. Number 2, parcels containing more than 5 acres of wetlands in total. And 3, parcels are located not more than 2 miles from an elementary school. So again, that would have affected about 40 plus communities throughout the state. But now that it's been changed to affect any towns between 6,000 and 8,000 population, it is now whittled down to 11 communities that this affects. And those communities, I sent that to Joanna as well. 3 of them are in our region. Middlebury, of course, is in it, or it affects Middlebury, but it also affects Thomaston and
Yep.
Beacon Falls. They are member communities. So, whatever the reason or the idea behind this legislation, I'm not going to speculate or second guess, but what it is doing is it is affecting how we have conducted business for maybe some 50 or so years. Normally and historically, local zoning has been left in the hands of the local zoning land use boards, wetlands, combined P&Zs, planning commissions, zoning commissions. And this absolutely is a slippery slope. Again, it was done in secrecy in the midnight hours. I think this is opening a Pandora's box that is going to take away. It's a done deal from what I understand. It's going to take the authority away from local planning and zoning commissions and regional planning commissions. In the past, my experience has been that if ever there is an issue that the legislature needs to address, it's usually done after a series of public hearings, input from regional planning commissions and agencies, and communities such as the Connecticut Association of Zoning Enforcement Officers, CASIO. And I know in the past, it's taken a lot of effort to get any movement from the legislatures. So I think we need to be vocal about this. I think we need to express our displeasure with the legislature doing this in the darkness and cover of darkness. So again, it affects 3 of our communities. I'm going to repeat them again: Beacon Falls, Thomaston, and Middlebury. I feel bad for Thomaston and Beacon Falls because pretty much I don't think they have a leg to stand on. It's going to be very non-productive for them. It's just an unfortunate thing.
Well, I wish I could say that was the only thing that they did in the dark of night with this latest bill. I mean,
who's talking right now?
I'm sorry.
Kim.
Oh,
right?
Kim or Stacy. Okay.
Well, Stacy,
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, the fair share stuff is also arguably even more serious also for us as well, because if it went through, we currently have 3,300 and change residences in town, and it was going to require us to come up with a total of 6,500 within the next 5 years, or else we were all, under those provisions would have been eligible for a lawsuit. So yes, they took out some of the worst parts of it, but in the dark of night, they put in where the state is going to still conduct studies to determine what each town's quote unquote fair share is going to be.
Stacy,
we're
you're
not-
from Thomaston, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
So, I mean, that's another thing that got slipped in at 2 AM. And yes, it's only a quote unquote study right now, but as we've seen so many times in the past, it's the camel's nose under the, just a matter of time until more comes out.
That's always the fear. Mhm.
But I can speak frankly for Thomaston, there is no way we can get a double, essentially, that's what it is, essentially doubling the houses in our community when we're already have sewer lines in town that are already at capacity, and they're already starting very early discussions about whether or not to investigate expansion of the sewer plant. So, but none of that matters under fair share. So, I mean, this is another thing that's going on where there's encroachment into
Local
municipal
authority, yeah.
zoning.
Now, Kurt, correct me if I'm wrong, but this addition to the bill, it's only going to take effect if the bill passes, the budget bill?
From my understanding, the people that I spoke to, it's a done deal. It's not going to come out of the, package. It's going to be voted on. And as soon as this evening or tomorrow, it already passed the House. And the Senate is anxious to break for this summer. And this is the last, I guess, bit of business is to pass the budget. But, it's just, I say it's a slippery slope. I fully understand why it was done and who created it. And, I'm not even going to take issue of whether I support the efforts. It's just somewhere where the legislature should not be, it should not be done without input from a wide variety of individuals and organizations. It's just not the way it should be done. The home rule has been completely obliterated. Stacy, I wish I knew more about that other, I got an email about 2:45 or 4:45.
Oh, that was really fun. They had it in word was that it was going to be incorporated into the omnibus bill. And then the speaker, I believe, went out and, oh yeah, it got pulled and everybody thought it was a done deal on it. And then what they did was they took a bill, an innocuous sounding bill that had to do with conservation easements, and they dumped out the language from that had already been approved by the Senate, and then put in pretty much all of the fair share stuff in that, and then sent it to the House. And so basically they played a nice little game, with the bill that people voted on that they're now replacing with the fair share stuff. And then, yeah, there was some negotiation back and forth and talking back and forth. And there's actually even concern from wetlands people about it, because basically it would require a look at all the wetlands regulations to see if they're helping the affordable housing situation or hurting that affordable housing situation. So pretty much it's, decimating it has the potential to decimate wetlands regulations that have been hard fought for in the state, all in the name of requiring people to have what they think is the appropriate amount of housing.
Is there a way we could look at that bill? I'd be very interested to read it. Is it even available?
A fair share?
There is the original, and then I did see a draft of the most recent round, and then I heard that it basically changed to now it's just they want to have a study of what each town's fair share should be, and OPM has to go back to the General Assembly before it does anything further with it. So that all sounds innocuous until you realize it's just the foot in the door.
So Kurt, this is Gino DiGiovanni, Derby. So basically this is the state being able to dictate to the municipality that falls underneath the, you know, the requirements or what dictated in that, section, what you can and cannot do on that property or that land. Is that, what that states? 'Cause it's saying that if you meet the criteria with the population, you cannot, you know, put a warehouse or anything large according to what, Joanna just sent. Is that what is basically they're dictating to the municipality? What they can and
Yeah, I
cannot
mean,
do?
if you, you know, I don't want to second guess how and why this happened, but there was a newspaper article this morning that I read.
Well, I'm
and-
not familiar with this part, and I just the
Yeah,
first
this
I'm
is
hearing about,
just
so I'm
May.
just trying to get, you know.
Yeah, I don't want to get into the weeds because I don't want to be accused of I don't know. It basically the article said that it was okay, where is it? State targets warehouse plan. So in Middlebury, we had an application for a 700,000 plus or minus warehouse on the former Timex property. And a certain legislator lives right across from it. He was a vocal opponent
there you
to
go.
it. And I think that's how it started. He proposed the bill and it's in there now. So again, I don't really want to get into the weeds about that, but it's basically, it's just a slippery slope where legislator or legislators are dumping state regulations on communities, municipalities. These are sacred rights of the citizens, the residents, and the elected and or appointed officials to, you know, the local home rule. And it's just an assault on it.
Kurt, I thank you very much for bringing this to our attention. I know you said you were requesting members of the RPG to maybe reach out to some of our legislators expressing our concern about this, and that may be a very good thing. If
And
this
I'd like
is-
to join in what Stacy brought up, because this is, you know, new to me. I never even heard of the other bill. I think we have to take a position. It's just not fair. It's not right.
Well, I appreciate your bringing that up. I would like to move on, though, and talk about some of the things that are happening in the other communities.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you very much.
No problem. Oh, anything else excuse me. Kurt, is there anything else you'd like to talk about as far as Middlebury is concerned?
No, there's really not really much going on. It's usually slow in the summertime, so. No,
Yeah, it does.
I've taken enough time from the members, so I
Well, we do appreciate you bringing that up. Yeah, from Derby, Gino, what's happening in Derby?
Well, first of all, I just want to say, Kurt, thank you, and Stacy also for bringing some light to that. It was the first I was hearing about it, so I'm going to look a little deeper into that. Second, nothing really much to add here from Derby. It's kind of slow here now with summer approaching, but the same projects are still going. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but the water tower is on its way. They put up a water tower for regional water to help with the water pressure to the citizens on the west side of town, and that's moving forward. So that's about it. The same stuff is underway, but it's a little slow with new applications and whatnot because of the summer here as well.
Pretty standard everywhere, I think. Yep.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, that's it for me.
Thank you very much, Kurt.
You're welcome.
I mean, Gino. Lori, Naugatuck.
Not much going on here either. We haven't had
That
many
seems to be going
applications.
around.
We maybe our Popeyes will be opening soon, but other than that, not much right now.
Okay, very good. Kim in Southbury.
Hi.
Hi,
So
Kim.
how are you?
I'm fine.
we-
You?
Great, thank you very much.
Very good. All right. So what's
We
going on in
are
Southbury?
we are still celebrating our 350th. We had the governor came and marched in our Memorial Day parade along with the state treasurer, so that was very nice. And we also have yeah, we have an NVCOG helping us with our silver certification, so thank you very much. We have an NVCOG intern helping us with our silver certification for sustainable Connecticut. So always helpful and very appreciated. And we have our historic opens house on June 10th. And also our economic development director has started a Southbury radio hour. Gonna be doing, so that's really interesting and fun. Also, there's the chamber, the Waterbury affiliated Southbury Chamber is going to be doing business associated presentations for businesses. So that's about everything that that I've got. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much. Stacy, what's happening in Thomaston?
Well, we have an application in front of P&Z right now regarding some renovations and a possible addition to the town hall with regard to the Opera House. So that's probably the biggest thing we got going on now. We had tried for sustainable CT gold, bronze certification, narrowly missed it because one of the requirements changed midstream. But we are situated and ready to apply for August. I was contacted by the COG's new intern, and I would most definitely like to avail myself of his assistance. So we can hopefully finalize that. We are gearing up to start work on our new 2024 plan of conservation and development. We're putting together the committee so we can work on that. And I'm trying to think what else. I can't remember if I said this the last time, but we were very happy to receive grant funding from the DEP for recreational trails so that we could design a section of our greenway that's heading closer towards our downtown area. What else? Tad bit of tooting our horn, but we were honored to find out from Connecticut Main Street that they selected us as for an excellence award at their June 20th ceremony for the work the EDC has been doing. We've been doing a lot, and it was a lot of an outgrowth of our sustainable CT application, but we kind of got a quarterly small business info sort of thing going on where, issues of interest to the town, small businesses in town. We had Seth Duke and Cindy Donaldson from Red Barn, I think it's Red Barn Consulting, basically talking about how to market your small business, etc. And we're going to be having another one on solar for small businesses. And so we're trying to do some stuff like that, and it's been nice because the local businesses are actually trying to start up a somewhat of a local association of the Thomaston small business owners. So that's been a nice thing to have happening too. Other than that, I think, recently most of our applications have been accessory apartment oriented. So it's not like there's been any humongous projects lately. Like everybody else has said, the summer does tend to be like that.
Mhm. Well, congratulations to Thomaston for their recognition.
Thank you.
Bob, Waterbury.
Yes, Waterbury. Well, things have been moderately busy. We, along with the COG, received a boatload of money the other day for remediation grants.
Wonderful.
And, we look forward to continuing that activity on South Main Street and the Freight Street area where the city owns about 20 acres of property. So it's a gradual process, but, with that kind of funding, it goes a long way to, repurposing some of these properties. Let's see what else. We also met with COG on the train station improvements, lengthening the platform and doing other various miscellaneous improvements. That too could be an exciting project, being right in the downtown, being in a, key focal point of the downtown. There seems to be opportunities to really, give the station some good attention. So we have passed along our ideas to the COG, and hopefully it'll bear fruit at some point. And then let's see, our zoning commission passed the cannabis regulation. As you know, we had been in a moratorium that will sunset in August. But last November, the issue was put before the voters. It was narrowly approved. I think the belief of the administration was that, was to move forward, create some regulations. We did just that. The establishments will allow for retailing and packaging in the industrial district, in what we call the Park Industrial District of the community. We thought long and hard about the retail sections of the city. We felt that given the very small size of parcels, which start at 10,000 square feet and smaller, discounting the shopping centers, of course, that there could be potential concerns with traffic. These sites tend to be better suited. And there's also spatial limitations from residences, religious institutions, daycares, things of that nature. There's also a cap of not more than 3 establishments in the city that our legal counsel swears is valid. But that's pretty much, it's sort of a very conservative regulation, and let's see where it goes. It's and then finally, we're looking to expand our staff. We lost the land use inspector to retirement, and so I've been busy trying to coordinate with our human resources, and we have a civil service process here in Waterbury that has its advantages, but it's sort of a protracted process. So I've been putting a lot of time into that, updating the position description, and hopefully that will be able to fill that position.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah, that's about it.
Okay. Kurt, I have a question for you. Would you repeat, are you going to have retail in your industrial zone? Did I hear that correctly?
Are you asking me?
I'm Bob. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm easily confused, Kurt. Bob, did you say that Waterbury was going to require retail to be in the industrial zone?
We're going to permit up to 5,000 square feet. There's a limitation on the size. Park Industrial District is sort of a hybrid of service type businesses. We looked at parking very carefully, in terms of demand. But yes, we feel comfortable with the way it's drafted. That will, we just didn't feel that certain corridors of the city, which tend to be very linear in the assemblage of commercial properties, were really appropriate. Chase Avenue, Wolcott Street, again, notwithstanding the shopping centers. I think our thought was that there could be issues that could arise, and also the spatial separations from residences, many which are located behind these commercial districts.
Mhm, mhm.
And I think
Okay.
that's an approach that, if I'm not mistaken, I was looking at Cheshire's proposal, and it's sort of similar to that, as I recall.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add, Bob?
That's it.
Thank you very much, Bob. Dan, Watertown.
All right, good evening. We have quite a bit going on in our little town.
Hey,
Uh,
you're an outlier
good.
on that.
Yeah. So our downtown, we used to have Sealy Mattress on a 10-acre plot right in downtown Oakville. And for years it was contaminated. So that finally got taken care of. It was purchased pretty quickly, and the new buyers came in trying to rezone it. That's been going on for over a year, and it was actually just denied at our last meeting. So they're appealing that, and we'll see where that goes. Let's see. We have the old Subaru dealership in town that was recently purchased, and they're splitting that up. Part of it is going to be a daycare center up front, and in the rear is going to be a car modification area. A plot of land on 262. It was approved for a gas station probably about a year and a half ago, and they just started clearing the lot, and that'll be getting built shortly. We have some townhouses being built, which overall is 30% affordable housing. So that'll help our overall percentage in town a little bit. We've been working on a Main Street makeover, working with the state, getting state funding on some of it. And that part was approved. And we're working on approval for the town to purchase property, 2 pieces of property, to make it public parking, to add parking for Main Street. So hopefully that'll happen soon. We have a foundation in town called Watertown Foundation. They just announced last week that they're going to be donating a small park to the town. And we are still in litigation on a water dispute with Waterbury, which may affect our town greatly. We'll see how that plays out.
Hope it works out. Thank you very much, Dan. Anything else?
That's it.
All right, very good. I'll wrap things up by talking about Bristol. It seems like the last couple of months we've been dealing mostly with wording in our projected rewrite of our zoning regulations concerning elderly housing. There's been an outcry from developers and their legal representatives that we should not limit the number of units per acre to something that would not be conducive to selling to developers. We started out with some language that said we wanted 4 units per acre. That was unacceptable. We've sort of raised it to 8. We're still getting some feedback on that. We did, though, approve very large elderly housing on the east side of Bristol, just on the town line with Plainville. This is going to be a substantial structure that's put up, and I'm blanking right now how many units are in that, but I think it averages out to about 12 units per acre. So that this is an issue that we're still struggling with. We have almost completed the elderly housing, which is sort of on the corner of North Main Street and North Street. It's really totally remade that area. We have construction finally starting on the Wheeler Clinic and the big project, which would include housing and retail on the rest of the Depot Square that's on North Main Street. We also have the state is realigning Route 72 on the west end of town. And they're well on their way to working on that. That's going to make a huge improvement. And I think that's about all we have going on in Bristol right now. Next thing on our agenda would be some NVCOG updates. First, Joanna with the Regional Plan of Conservation and Development.
Yeah, thank you. So here we go. It's going to be about 9-slide presentation. Hopefully we'll get through this in about 10 or 15 minutes. And of course, we can answer questions afterwards, or, interrupt us during, that's fine too. So earlier today, we sent you a copy of the existing conditions report. What we did was, it's a preliminary copy. We'd love to hear your advice, your critique. How can we make it better? How can we make it more understandable and useful for the commissions? Love to hear back from you. Please give me an email or call me. Love to hear from that. So what we're anticipating is that a full draft of the completed plan, we should be getting that done. I'm sorry, the existing conditions, we'll have that done on June 30th. And we want to review that particular existing conditions with the town staff. What we're going to do is start doing a public outreach for the actual policy document part of the plan in late summer and early fall. And we're hoping that by December 31st, we will have gone through that 65-day review period, similar to what the municipal POCDs have to go through. And hopefully by December 31st, we'll have recommendations from the Regional Planning Commission for adoption, and hopefully the board will adopt. That's our schedule at this point. And I'm going to hand it over to Josh, who's going to be talking about the first four topics here: land use, housing, economic development, and transportation. Just talking about some of the recommendations that we're formulating through our work on the regional plan. Josh?
Sure. Thanks, Joanna. So I'm going to keep it short because I'm actually at the local library and I get kicked out in 25 minutes. So basically, a lot of these issues will be quite familiar to you, and I think are, as many of these plans do, a sort of basis for further analysis and discussion about what the future goals are. But it's still worth identifying some of the general trends, and I'll just walk through them pretty quickly, and you can read them on the bullets, and Joanna will be sending them to you by email as well, following up on this. We also will have a draft goals and strategies section along with the existing conditions report for your review by the end of the month. That's our anticipated schedule. So as I think everyone's aware, we really faced reduced regional growth rate for almost all of our towns since the earlier plans were produced prior to the merger that created NVCOG in 2015. Along with that, fewer building permits have been issued, both residential and commercial. There is also within the market, I would say, an increasing demand for downtown and village type housing, in some cases multifamily or walkable. That's basically a national trend, a generational trend. There's also, as something that we're perhaps less happy about, persistent high vacancy rates in some of the older downtown retail areas, as well as in a number of the malls, both the strip malls and also obviously brass mills. Generally, post-pandemic, there's been a reduced demand for office space. In particular, that's hit a number of office campuses quite hard. That's sort of the trend. Those are becoming less desirable as business locations. Again, kind of coming back to that preference for downtown focused development. The negative side is that, you know, by value, there are obviously exceptions, but there is less of a demand for more of the 70s and 80s style suburban office campus. On the plus side, more communities have implemented environmentally friendly or sustainable zoning policies. And I would say overall, there's an increased public awareness of the costs of development, both in terms of consumption of land and environmental impacts. Next slide. So just generally, I think, again, some of these things are pretty obvious, but the pandemic has created an increased rate of work from home. That, again, is a national trend, which has had an impact in particular on some of our more low density communities in terms of people who basically decided to settle in what was at one point their second home, some simply for the duration of the pandemic, others over a longer term. And in general, as we all are aware, you know, there's just been a bump in housing costs of between 25 and 30% associated both with increased demand for housing availability during the pandemic, as well as increased mortgage rates. Is sort of a double whammy. Along with that, as I mentioned, there's definitely an increased demand for housing in downtown and village settings. And I would say too that there's a low level but continual trend towards housing rehabilitation in many of our core cities that is in part driven by a continuing immigrant population growth and increasing availability of funds to basically respond to increased market value with improvements to existing housing. Next slide. Economic development. I would say post-pandemic, post-China, post-Ukraine, there's a renewed focus on manufacturing, and in particular, some of the areas that our region has always had a historical focus on, which is high technology, customized production, precision production. There is I would say, you know, if you read business publications, there's always this emphasis on onshoring. If every opportunity for onshoring that's been written about actually happened, you know, we'd have hundreds of thousands of manufacturing jobs that haven't quite arrived yet. So I will offer that as a grain of salt, but there is some trend in that direction. I would say overall in the broader region, there is somewhat of a shift in demand for office space where it was historically fairly polycentric. That is, you know, Bristol had its own office market, Waterbury the same, Lower Valley the same. I would say in general, the space that's been the strongest position in the market is that which is located in Shelton or other towns immediately adjacent, more towards the outlying suburbs of the New York area. Unfortunately, along with that is a real lack of demand for core city retail space and a stronger demand for downtown and village center and housing and mixed-use development. And Quarry Walk is an excellent example. I think that's a product that we'll be seeing more of in the next bunch of years. Next slide. So some transportation issues. As you all are aware, the state has funded increased Waterbury Line rail service in the last year, basically. So that's very positive for the region. In terms of less positive issues, you know, we definitely have throughout the United States, but certainly in this region, we're an older region, we have aging infrastructure. There's a huge issue of what to do with the Mixmaster, a long-term study for the state DOT. Definitely, along with the emphasis on downtown and village center living, there's a strong emphasis on non-vehicular transportation, bicycling, walking, and an increased availability of funding to provide trails, to provide new sidewalks, to basically connect up those areas of concentration to schools, to adjacent residential areas. That's a very strong trend within the transportation world and in terms of federal funding. As well, you have an aging population that has a need for access, and in some cases a need for non-vehicular access, and we really have to address that. That's been an area that I'm particularly interested in. And with this IJA bill funding federal transportation activity, there's a new emphasis on transportation safety, in particular for pedestrians and bicyclists. Next slide. As again, you are all aware, this region adopted town by town. All of the 19 towns adopted the Natural Hazard Mitigation Plan, which outlines quite a few projects that are needed to ensure that we are resilient in terms of our response to natural disasters and to flooding. There's definitely an increased awareness. And again, this is basically a national trend of flooding and storm-related risks, as well as a new opportunity to address those risks, both through the IJA and other related federal legislation. Next slide. And then another issue that I think all of our towns are aware of, and certainly as an agency, we've made a big priority to try to address, is environmental justice, and to find opportunities to create projects where there have been the greatest negative impacts from prior transportation construction, areas where Route 8 and I-84 have basically split communities, where there may be opportunities to reconnect them, which is one of the federal funding initiatives, as well as to do more neighborhood planning that can increase opportunities, and under the heading of economic development as well, to provide access of new sources of labor and training for residents within the core cities, which I think also fits within that environmental justice umbrella. So that's my piece. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Sure. We look forward to all of you participating in our efforts to get this plan over the goal line. Definitely, and Joanna highlighted this as well, but any projects that you have that you feel are representative of a new direction for the region, or that are a particular accomplishment for your town, something that's making the region more environmentally sustainable or responding to new market trends, we would absolutely love to hear about it. We tried to throw in a bunch of examples in there, but you all are on the ground and have even more knowledge of what's going on in your towns. Thanks.
Does anyone have any questions at this point? See, we were so good. We told you everything. You understood it perfectly. Thank you.
Teamwork, Joanne.
Teamwork. Anything else, Joanna?
No, I have nothing to add at this point.
Oh, okay. All right. Then that brings us to Christine, who's going to talk about the environmental update.
Yeah, absolutely. This one is very short and sweet tonight. So our next household hazardous waste event is taking place Saturday, July 22nd from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. And that's going to be in Oxford this time at Quaker Farm School, 30 Great Oak Road. So of course, residents from all 15 towns in the program are welcome to attend. Let's get the bad stuff out of the garbage. That's actually surprisingly illegal to throw in your garbage. Things like paint and motor oil and solvents, the cleaners you have under your sink. Get them collected. It's free for the residents. No reason not to go and have a good garbage time. So we'll have flyers going out to the towns within the next month.
Very good.
Yeah, and then the next one is just a grant opportunity. If you've been on this commission for a while, you probably hear this every year, but it's that time again. DEEP has released their OSWA, which stands for Open Space and Watershed Land Acquisition Grant. And its sort of sister grant, which is the Urban Green and Community Garden Grant. So the idea is that you can use this money to purchase land because of the, or rather land that isn't going to be developed, that must have public access. For open space, you could, potentially put a trail or something, but this money is just to acquire the land. Now the Urban Green and Community Garden Grant, a quick note that is only eligible for distressed communities or targeted investment communities. So I think that's maybe 7 of our towns or so. I can get you the exact list, but everyone should have gotten a memo with these details on May 16th. Just a friendly reminder, it's open until October 2nd, and this comes up every year. So if you're not ready for this year, start thinking about next time, because it's a wonderful way to get more open space in your community. And that's it for environmental update. Happy to take questions.
Any questions for Christine? Christine, thank you. And
Sure.
you have one more thing, I think.
I do. I am very pleased to introduce Cole Burnham. He is our Sustainable CT Fellow who's going to be with us this summer. This is the part where I'd normally say, here's what Sustainable CT is and a Sustainable CT Fellow, but he's already been mentioned several times tonight and what his role is. So with that, I just want to quickly turn it over to Cole to introduce himself.
Hi all, a pleasure to be talking to all of you. Yeah, definitely, I guess my name's been mentioned a few times. Definitely sent out a lot of emails today trying to just say that if any towns need anything in regards to sustainable CT or any sustainable actions your town is taking whatsoever, definitely feel free to reach out. I'm here all summer to help with any sustainable projects. Anyone that's trying to look to get registered, to get certified by Sustainable CT, I'm happy to help and try and make an action plan of sorts. So yeah, I'm a resource for the summer. Let me know if you need anything.
Thank you, Cole. Where are you from?
I'm out of Fairfield.
And you're going to school where?
I'll be going to Tufts in Boston.
Ooh, great school. Well, I wish you luck.
Thank
Thank you,
appreciate
Cole.
it.
Welcome. I don't think
And I
we
just
have
really quickly want to note, I'm going to put
Yeah.
his chat in here, but as a reminder for everybody to keep in mind, August 15th is the certification deadline this summer. I feel like it's coming up a little earlier than usual. Usually it's in the 20s. And that's going to be sort of around the end of Cole's internship. So just keep that in mind.
Very good. Kim, what's your cat's name?
This is Osiris.
Osiris.
Yes.
I think it's wonderful.
Thank you. He loves to visit me during Zooms.
I banished my dog to the upstairs. I don't think we have anything else, so I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, thanks, Bob. All those in favor, say aye.
I
Any opposed? Well, that's a wrap, folks. Thank you very much for attending. It was good to see everybody. And our next meeting will be in August, right?
That's
Yes,
correct, August 8th on
August
Zoom.
8th.
Unless we figure out a hybrid version.
Always in favor of that, as you know.
Okay,
Joanna, I'd like to thank you for all that you're doing. And Josh, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for attending.
thank
Good
you for all the
Good
updates
night, all.
from the commission.
Good night.
Take care.
Thank you.
I don't know.